Okay. Yeah. So let's first recap what we have discussed yesterday. So yesterday we have discussed about how do we declare the variables and like uh, what are the keywords like var, let, constant. Then we also discussed about what is the difference between var and let. And we also discussed about how can we define what is meant by declaration, initialization, and all. So we also discussed like how do we declare multiple variables in one line, right? So these are the things that we had discussed yesterday. Okay, today we will continue from there. Okay, so yeah, so mostly we understood what is meant by a variable. Okay, but there is one more thing that probably I will not be able to explain now about the variable because of the dependent concept. Something that we need to understand something called scope, variable scope we call it as, something called a local variable and something called a global variable. So local variable and global variable. Okay. So, but to discuss this, then probably we need to write, we need to understand something called blocks, code blocks that we need to understand. So right now, since we haven't understood anything about blocks, we have not discussed about blocks, then we cannot understand the scope. Okay, right now, local variable, global variable, and other things. But before we move on, just a last thing about the variable that you need to know is, like, see, whenever you are defining the variable, right? So you will be providing that every variable will have a name. So we need to understand about this name actually. So variable name, we need to understand variable name. Like whenever you are defining any variable, keep this in your mind always. So when I'm giving the name, can I give any name to the variable? So can I give any name to the variable, like whatever the name that I wanted? Can I give any name? You see that I have given the names as like, A, B, or some C, X, Y, Z. So like that. Right. So I'm giving, okay, so the single character name. And you even, okay, so you have seen that code is being executed. So code is being executed, and then that means that variable names are accepting. So like that, can I give the variable names in whatever I want, or are there any restrictions? I'm not talking about the value that what you are assigning here. I'm not talking about the value. What I'm talking is variable names only for now. Understand that I'm talking about only variable names. Okay, so can I give any variable names or the names whatever I want? Nay, so no, you cannot give any name that whatever you want. There are some restrictions to the variable names. So always remember that. Okay, so there are some restrictions. So whenever you write the variable names and keep this in the mind. Okay. Now, what are those restrictions is, remember these points when you are giving the names of the variables. A variable name can be, right, can be alpha or alphanumeric. A variable name, okay, so I'm talking about only the name of the variable. So name can be alpha or alphanumeric. So this is, in every language, this is common in Java, Python, or in every language, this is common. Okay, can be alpha or alphanumeric. What is mean by that? Alpha or alphanumeric is like, alpha characters, right? So a variable can be named like this, A or ABC. So this is pure alpha. Like, even it can be like, any alpha character. And alphanumeric, like you say ABC1. So what is this ABC1? It is alpha numeric. So a variable name can be either alpha, like, so let's say here, I give the name as A is a valid name, and name like is a valid name. Or like, you say X is a valid name. First name is a valid name. This is also valid name. All these are alpha. Okay. So purely alpha characters it contains. Even you say A1, X1, X2. Okay. Name 1. Right, all these are valid names again. So the second, these are called alphanumeric, so which is a combination of alpha and alphanumeric, and these are pure alpha. So that means the names are containing only alpha characters. Again, I'm saying that I'm not talking about the values what you assign to the variables. I'm talking about only the names of the variables. I'm talking about only the names of the variables. So a variable name can be alpha, alphanumeric, but however, right, when it is alphanumeric, when you say alphanumeric, okay, so cannot start with a number. Okay, cannot start with it. Cannot be only a number. Name cannot be only number or cannot start with number. Now let's say, for example, if I give the name like this as 1 as a variable name, is it valid or invalid? Or if I give like, okay, so some 25, is it valid? These names are invalid. You cannot give like this. So these are numbers, right? Variable name cannot be a number. And also, when it is alphanumeric, when you say alphanumeric is nothing but it's mix of alpha characters and numerical characters, right? So now when you give as like this, when you give like, okay, so 1x, I will give as 1x. It is alphanumeric. This is actually alphanumeric. Combination of alpha characters and numerical characters. But is it a valid? This is invalid name. Okay, so this is invalid name. Why? Because remember that variable name always should start with alpha character. Further, it can have numbers in the name and all, but must have to start with alpha character. Okay, and it should not start with the number. Also, variable name cannot be a number alone. Okay, and at the same time, cannot use any special characters except underscore. Except underscore, like this is underscore. Under some people will get confused between hyphen and underscore. This is hyphen. Second one is underscore. This is underscore and this is hyphen. Okay. So remember that variable names cannot contain any special characters except underscore. Because sometimes, when you are writing the names of the variables, some of the names might be bigger. Like you might use some bigger variable names where the variable names may contain multiple words. So let's say, for example, I have the variable name like this, first name. So assume that this is the variable name that I'm giving, name of the variable. Now, in such case, okay, this variable contains 2 words, right? But this is valid. Whatever we have written now is valid. But thing is, if you write the name like this, variable name, though JavaScript accepts that, but it will be a kind of a confusing name to the new people. So readability will be missing out, understandability will be missing out if you give like this. Okay, so if the variable name is lengthy and if it is multi-word name, in such case, what you can do is you can use underscore as a separator. So now this will increase the readability of the code. Like if the variable name is very lengthy and it contains multiple words, you can keep underscore between each and every word. Why? Because so that people can easily understand. So let's say, for example, here, I will use another name. I'll say that balance in current account. Simple. Assume that, okay, so that's a name, variable name that I want to use, balance in current account. Now, as per the JavaScript rules, the variable name what I have given is acceptable. Like, okay, so JavaScript will accept it. But if I give the name like this, do you guys able to read that variable name and understand it quickly? If I give the name like this, variable name, okay, so, but it's a name is a meaningful, valid, okay, so, but is it readable quickly? Like, okay, so if any new person comes, can the new person quickly read it? No, right? So it will be difficult for the new people to understand that name. Now, in such case, if I write the name like this, if the name is very lengthy, between every word in the variable name, if I keep underscore in between, between each and every word in the name, is it understandable now? Compare with earlier. So now this name is readable, right? Easily by the people. Huh? So now, like, okay, so whenever you have the lengthy names, variable names and all, use underscore as a separator in between every word. But do not keep any special characters, because when we are writing a normal English, right, we will be using space in between. We use a space in between every word. Okay, but so the spaces or any other, like no other special characters are allowed. Hyphen is also not allowed. So you have to use underscore. No other special characters are allowed. Okay, na? So please remember, when you're giving the variable names, then okay, so make sure that you're following these rules. And also, name of the variable should not match with any of the inbuilt keywords in JavaScript. This point also remember, name of the variable should not match with any of inbuilt keyword in JavaScript. What is mean by inbuilt keyword is Like say in every programming language, there will be certain keywords. Okay, like let's say for example, yesterday or we have used some keywords like where is a keyword, let is a keyword. For each keyword, there will be some meaning assigned within the script, or right, like in the JavaScript or TypeScript and all. Even constant is a keyword, if is a keyword, do is a keyword, for is a keyword, break is a keyword we have, function is a keyword. And for all these are different inbuilt keywords available in JavaScript. So for every keyword, we will be using for a purpose. If you want to specify a condition, like, so you have to tell to your program, say that, hey, I'm giving you a condition here. Before you run this code and verify this condition, what do you say? If. Or if you want to perform some action multiple times, then you will be using for or do, like that. So there are a lot of keywords available in JavaScript. Every keyword will have a certain concept associated to it. Every keyword will have some meaning. So whenever you define the variables, right, whenever you give the names of the variables, make sure that you are not giving the names which are matching with the inbuilt keywords. I just wrote only few keywords here, around 8 keywords I have written. But in the reality, we have plenty of the keywords. But okay, so yesterday also I told that you can't learn each and everything. And we have to learn based on the scenarios and what we are going to write and what we are going to do. So never by heart all this. So you are going to use not only these 8, you are going to use multiple keywords going forward, but you will be using them. So like, okay, so you don't need to learn theoretically. So you will be using them so that you can remember. So whenever you are defining any variable and when you give the name of the variable, remember that name of the variable should not match with any of the inbuilt keyword in the programming or in this JavaScript. So like, I just wrote some inbuilt keywords like where is a keyword used for declaring a variable. Let is a keyword to declare the variable. Constant is a keyword that, is used for declaring the variable. Right. Now, if you say this, I have written the variable here. I'm using let keyword for declaring the variable, and I'm trying to use variable name as for equal to 10. Look at that. Okay. So there is an error now, right? So there is an error being displayed the moment I declare the variable here for. It is showing syntax error because for the for okay, so in JavaScript there is a special meaning that is normally called as a loop. It is throwing an error. Now this name is not acceptable. Okay, so it is expecting a different syntax here because for has a different purpose, and the way of using a key for keyword is different. Now I will try to do this also not acceptable, and I give the name of the variable name as function. You see that there is an error. Why? Okay, so those are alpha character only, right? Why these are they errors are there? Because okay, so these are the inbuilt keywords for everything that whatever I wrote now, for, do, function, all those, there are some special meanings allocated. So those words are reserved. You call them as a reserved keywords. So reserved keywords in a sense, like every word has some meaning there, some purpose there in the JavaScript. So you are not allowed to use those names. Okay, so those are already reserved for some different purposes. These cannot be variable names. So remember, whenever you are giving the variable names, then these names should not match with any of the inbuilt keywords. Any of the inbuilt keywords. Okay, na? Right. But how would I know that what are the inbuilt keywords there? How would I know like what are the inbuilt keywords are there? Don't worry. So you don't need to know in the beginning itself. When you are writing the code, you will automatically it will you don't even know, even not only the beginning, even like so when you are writing the code and all, if you try to use any inbuilt keyword unknowingly, your program itself will tell you that no, this cannot be used. So you don't need to forcibly remember that. So when you are writing, then it will automatically tell you. Okay, na? So these are the things that which you should not do. Like do not use any inbuilt keyword names as they are, as it is. So as a variable name, whenever you give the variable names, always provide the meaningful variable names. Always provide meaningful variable names like this. Okay, how I have written depends on which field. So based on the name of the variable, anybody, if a new person comes also, new person also should be able to understand why that variable is used for, what value we are going to store in that variable. So just by looking at the name itself, we can understand that. We are done with the variables concept now. So this is what's few things that you need to remember when you're using the variables always. How to give the variable names and how to declare the variable, how to use the variable, what is the right way of declaring the variable. So what is the right name there? So like that. Now we need to understand the next concept that is called as data types. Okay, we need to understand something called data types. So what is mean by data type? What is mean by data type? So the name itself, okay, so based on that, name that what you see, you can understand. So what is a data type? So a data type is nothing but, okay, so a type of data or type of input, or you can say type of data or type of input, type of value, anything that you can say it as data type, what type of value it is, right? So like, okay, so let me take a few examples. Now let's say here I have a field called age. I have a field called age. Now for this age, what type of value I can give? Can I give any value that whatever I want? Can I give any value that whatever I want? No, right? So for age, then it has to be only a number. Age should be always a number. It should not accept any other value. Where assume that like you have a checkbox where you select like terms and conditions like that you have. So terms and conditions. Now this checkbox, will it accept any custom values? No, right? It accepts only two things, either check or uncheck. Right? Checked or unchecked like that. But check is nothing but true and uncheck is nothing but false. So now like, okay, so that field should accept only true or false. True means checked, false means unchecked. Now what is that called? Boolean type. That is called Boolean type. So which will accept only true or false. Okay. So these are normally, what do you call them as? Data types. So those are called as a data types. Now I have given age as a 20. Let me run this code and see whether it will work or not. Yeah, you can see that it is working. 20 is being printed. So 20 I have given, 20 is being printed. It is accepting. After 20, now we see age equal to ABC. Console.log of age. Console.log age. Now let me run it. Rerun the code and see whether it will work or not. Now can you see that I'm printing age here, it is printed 20. Then again I'm printing age. I changed the value of age and then again I printed. It is accepting ABC. Can you see that? Now again, like, okay, so after a few lines, then I say age equal to true. Boolean. Okay, so I'm updating to Boolean. Now console.log as age. Okay, console.log age. Now again, let me rerun the code and see, like, whether it is accepting or not. Can you see that it is accepting 20? Number it is accepting, string it is accepting, Boolean it is accepting. Now the variable that whatever I have defined, is it giving any error, or is it saying that this has to be only number and I don't accept string or I don't accept Boolean? Is it saying anything like that? No, right? So you see that like whatever the value that you have given, right? So whatever the value that you have given to that variable, whether it is a string value or whether it is an int value, numerical value, whether it is a Boolean value, right? So Boolean value. So it is accepting every type of value, right? So and then like, okay, so now here the variable is not giving any restriction for you, saying that you can't give this type of value. So by default in JavaScript, the variable is accepting any type of value. So this is called a weakly type language. JavaScript and Python are weakly type language. What is mean by that is, in JavaScript you're not specifying any data type. In JavaScript you're not specifying any data type for the variable. You simply use let, you simply use var, you simply use constant. You are not telling anything about data type for the variable in JavaScript. So that's why JavaScript allows any type of value. First it will, you assign the integer, fine. Okay, so number, first you assign the number to the variable, yeah, it will take. After that, after some time, for the same variable you assign the string value, it will take. After some time you assign some Boolean value, it will take. But there are a few more data types that I will tell one by one. So in JavaScript, there is no restriction for the data types for the variables and all. So a variable can accept any type of value. You will be able to assign any type of value to the variable, string, Boolean, or any type of value. User can provide any type of input. So though user provides some invalid characters, invalid type of values and all, still JavaScript accepts and then try to perform the action which will lead to the defects and all. That becomes an issue. So what should I do now? That's where what they have done is on top of the JavaScript, they have built the TypeScript. This is exact point where they have built the TypeScript. So what is mean by that TypeScript is, in the TypeScript, we do exactly like a JavaScript with a different syntax. Syntax will be different and data type names will be different. But yeah, so conceptually, what it does in the Java, it will do the same thing. Like, so in a TypeScript, we will get the data types for the variables. For every in the TypeScript, you will provide like syntax, concept, features, everything will be same between JavaScript and TypeScript. In fact, TypeScript internally converted into JavaScript and gets executed. But what makes difference between JavaScript and TypeScript is here in TypeScript, you will get the data types assigned to the variable. So variables will accept only when the value, whatever you have given, match with the data type assigned to that variable. If the variable is defined as a number, you can give only number to that variable. If the variable is defined as a string, then only string value can be assigned to that variable. If the variable is assigned as a Boolean, then only Boolean values can be given to that variable. But these kind of type, we cannot give in the JavaScript for the variables. So that makes a difference. Okay. So by seeing those problems with the JavaScript related to the type and all, so they just introduced this TypeScript on top of the JavaScript. So TypeScript internally using everything from the JavaScript, but only thing is it will be verifying the type for every variable when you are providing. So that is a TypeScript exactly. Otherwise, so everything what you did today or yesterday and all, then everything is related to the TypeScript also. Okay. Are you understanding? Are you guys understanding what I'm saying here? Remaining people, are you guys able to understand?
Yes, Nanda.
Yeah. Okay, fine. Yeah, good. So understand it. JavaScript is a weakly typed language. Now we need to convert into TypeScript. So this is exact point where we need to start. But okay, before that, let me give you the list of data types that what we have in TypeScript or in JavaScript and all. So we list of data types. So in Java, we have plenty of the data types, but in TypeScript or in JavaScript, we have very limited data types that we have. Something like, remember these types. We have something like, you say string, we have number, and you have Boolean, and you have something like undefined. You have undefined, and you have something called null, and you have something called symbol, and we have object. And also, yeah, I forgot one more. We have something called big int. So these are 8 types that we have in JavaScript. Even TypeScript also, these are 8 types. In that, I just told you 3 things: string, what is string, and what is number, what is Boolean, which are more and more frequently used. And undefined and null, we need to discuss, because that will be one of the confusing points that you might get, not immediately, but slowly that I know we need to understand undefined. This is also another interview question. What is the difference between undefined and null? Both looks very similar. Symbol is normally used for storing the unique values. If you want to make the variable value as a unique, then you can use symbol. Object you cannot understand anyway. That is related to the object-oriented programming, OOPS concepts. So once we start with OOPS, then I will talk about object. Big int means big int also a number. Big int also a number. But if the number is too big, like some 15-digit number, 20-digit number, like if you get a huge number, then this number type will not allow larger numbers. So it has limitations of accepting the numbers. So it cannot accept very large numbers. But in case if you get very large number, like Aadhaar number, bank account number, like those are very big numbers, and credit card number, which will be like 12-digit or 16-digit number and all. So if you get very large numbers and those large numbers need to be stored, then we will be using big int. Okay, na? So these are the data types that we have right now, even in the JavaScript and even in the TypeScript. Yeah, fine then. So if everybody is clear with this, then I will stop here today. Okay, I'll stop now. So tomorrow, very first thing that what we do is we will install TypeScript, and then I will explain you the syntax of the TypeScript, how the data types work in TypeScript. Same thing, I defined the variable, right? So how we define that in the TypeScript, and then how do we use that? So tomorrow onwards, we will start with the TypeScript. Bye, everyone.